There are 2 days that God in the Bible told us to set aside. One is to have a day set aside specifically as a day of thanks, to remember the things to be thankful for and to be conscious of them. Here in America, we call that Thanksgiving. The other day, God told us, specifically commanded us, to set aside specific days for are days to remember. A day to remember what came before, how you as a person and you as a people got where you are. It goes really hand in hand with the day of Thanksgiving. You can see the connection, the logical connection. But today is the day that we set aside to remember, Memorial Day. Here in America, we tend to especially remember those that are with us no more, with an even greater emphasis on those that died supporting our nation and died for our freedoms. We always seem to focus specifically on the most recent. Every generation does it. It's not just us. For instance, the global war on terror is our most recent losses. The Gulf War before that, the first Gulf War. The deaths represented in the movie Black Hawk Down. Vietnam, Korea, and World War II. We tend to think of those most because those it touched are still with us today. But we should never forget, we should remember those sacrifices that were made important by what others died before them, before us. The recent sacrifices matter because of sacrifices made long before us. For instance, in the American Revolution, we lost approximately 25,000 people. The War of 1812, approximately 15,000. The Mexican-American War, 13,283. The Civil War, 655,000. The Indian Wars, 1,944. The Spanish-American War, 2,446. World War I, 116,516. World War II, 405,399. The Korean conflict, 36,516. The Vietnam War, 58,209. The Cold War. What's documented is approximately 520 people. However, you must remember the civilians that acted on behalf of America all around the world in different varying ways and causes of freedom. Intelligence officers and operatives that are never claimed, and their deaths and losses are maybe even never recorded. Covert operations, same thing. So 520 written down. The Iranian crisis, the hostage crisis, 12. Grenada, 19. Panama, 40. The first Gulf War, 294. Global war on terror, somewhere around 7,000 right now. Iraq, Afghanistan, several conflicts around the world on the global war on terror. The total estimate of American losses in service to the nation, are around 7,000. The total losses are somewhere around 1,300,000 people that gave the last full measure of devotion. On this Memorial Day, whatever it is you're doing, whether it's barbecuing or attending parades, boating, camping, fishing, range time, don't be guilted as if you're doing anything wrong. That's exactly what they sacrificed for, are our freedoms. Honor those memories by enjoying your freedoms. Honor those lives that they gave, whether willingly or it was forced upon them. Honor those lives and those sacrifices. Treasure your liberty by using it. Remember, however, their sacrifice. Stop for a minute and think about 1,300,000 people have died that have built the foundation of what we live in daily now. Think about all the hopes and dreams you have, the projects, the family members, the children you want to see grow, the children's weddings you want to see and graduations, the life with a spouse or maybe finding a spouse, projects, businesses, things you want to accomplish with your life. It was all gone for them in a moment. They gave it up, or it was taken from them, for the causes that support everything we live by today. Remember those. I want to finish this little Memorial Day address with the Gettysburg Address. Not because I want to specifically think about the Civil War, but specifically because what President Lincoln said that day resonates still today and is very relevant. So I'm going to read the last part of the Gettysburg Address, where he is, a few days after the battle, he shows up to eulogize the dead, to thank the survivors, and to dedicate the ground as a burial place. So, quote, "But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note, nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they fought here, have thus so far nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to the cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth." End quote. So as you can see, President Lincoln was saying sort of the same thing I'm saying here, the same thing Memorial Day is about, in my opinion, and that is remember what came before so you can have a new dedication to what they died for. So let today, the liberties you're exercising, and the remembrance of their sacrifices give you a new dedication to liberty. May God bless you, and may God bless these United States of America.